being your authentic self. Being authentic with who you are, not only with yourself, but around others, is not only a wonderful experience and such a blessing in many people's lives, just like myself and my family, but it's important to make sure that you are happy. You cannot be happy without being authentic. How do you lose this? Because there are so many different complications of what's going on. It could be cultural. When you live in a society or you surround yourself with people that may want you to change because of something. Let's do an example. If you are a Democrat, a registered Democrat, you believe in democratic philosophies, and that's what you vote for here in America, great. And I implore anybody to be their authentic self in every way, shape, and form. Politics, religion, what you do, how you spend your time, the people that you're around, etc. But then your family, who you're incredibly close to, are conservatives. They're Republicans. Two totally different competing philosophies. And instead of telling your family that you may not agree with their political standing, you pretend. And pretending is the worst thing you can do. Or if you don't want to take it into the political sphere as the example, let's take it into the social sphere. You are with friends. They want to do something that you may not want to do. But instead of expressing that concern, you do it with them anyway. You're not happy. You don't feel fulfilled. These friends may not be actual friends. And you're kind of stuck in a place in where, what is going on? Like, why am I not happy? Like I said, there's so many different complicating factors. Why this matters? So why this matters is because what can end up happening when you do this is when you listen to the media of how you should think or express how you should express yourself or any kind of strata in that sphere, you will feel lonely. You'll feel like you're the only one who thinks differently. You'll disconnect from others because why would you be around people that you don't want to be with, but then you feel lonely? Or even you feel worthless because you think differently. Ladies and gentlemen, I am here to tell you that your value system, what you do, matters. And what you really got to do is, to succeed of being your authentic self, you have to look within your mind. You have to look within yourself. This requires self-awareness, it requires mindfulness, and it requires self-acceptance. So, overcoming inauthenticity is incredibly hard. You know, with parents and teachers, religions, peers, society, you want to fit in. As a human collective, we want to be around, we want to experience world, and we want to be that person that fits in with the group because then you are included. The version of ourselves that is our adaptive self. Now, this is a self that prioritizes fitting in, getting along, and generally doing what we are told. The self is not without value and purpose because obviously you have to conform to certain societal standards to live a normal life. I can't go outside of my condo butt naked. Obviously I have to wear clothes and I have to, right now wearing a mask. You can't do anything about it because, you can't infringe on somebody else's rights to have a mask mandated within their own business or whatever. There is a point where an adaptive self and your authentic self, you have to have that balance. And if you really are, if you want to function, because you have to function. But if you're feeling inauthentic, this adaptive self is running your life, and that's where you don't want to be. To reclaim your authenticity, you'll need to discover your authentic self, which is living according to your values, pursuing your purpose, and fighting for the causes that you care about. I want to go back to the political one. I know some people don't like politics, but hear me out. You are the Democrat. You want to support and fight for the racial inequalities and that kind of value system. And as an American, you have every right to do so. I recommend doing some research before, just so you are at least informed. But what you need to do is understanding that it's not wrong. You're not wrong about being your authentic self. And knowing your authentic self, you will develop the balance between your adaptive self and your authentic self. It's very, very, it can be hard. I know it can be hard. This could be very deep within your subconscious, and it remains hard to identify. It really does, because maybe you haven't thought about it. You're like, well, I don't know who I am. I don't agree with it, but I don't know where I sit. You got to figure that out. So how do you develop this authenticity? Observe yourself objectively to develop this authenticity. What this means is you learn to observe yourself like a fly on the wall. Watch yourself as you live in the present moment, observing how your adaptive self behaviors, what it believes, how it reacts under pressure, and how it responds to challenges. Practice noticing which of these responses feels authentic and which one feels inauthentic. By identifying which responses are adaptive versus authentic, you can begin to notice the falseness and begin to see the glimmers of truth underneath. You get into a situation where there's a lot of pressure, okay? And you try to keep in your mind, you can even do this unconsciously, keep in your mind society and react differently than what you would actually do. How this works is this is what I did actually. After a day, I wrote it down. I wrote down what it was, how I did it, and what could I do to change it. What I noticed is when I wrote it down, it was so much easier for me to see what caused the problem. I'm saying problems, this could be with everything. Like, write down exactly what you did, exactly what the situation was, and how you reacted to it. You write it down immediately. I wrote it down immediately. And I look back at it after the day, and I look at it, I'm like, that doesn't sound like me, but I did it. I did that for about 3 months. And as soon as that started to happen, I got into more of a habit to adapt, or to be that authentic self, and maybe reflect how it would be better. Examine family systems to develop authenticity. Most people were raised in some sort of family-style environment during their earliest, most vulnerable years. Think back to episodes in your childhood, episodes that led you to stop being your authentic self, and instead adopt some other ways to exist in the world. By examining where our behaviors come from, we can learn a lot about how our authentic selves. This is identifying the characteristics of parents, of siblings, of cousins that you're around a lot, of uncles, aunts, anything that you can think of. And once again, this is most. You can do this even if you were raised in an adoptive situation, because as soon as you can examine your life objectively, you will live a better life. It's incredible to actually, develop these kinds of thoughts and attitudes. It really is. And with family is such a big thing about how you might develop and how your adaptive side might change. Being a Democrat, you're raised in a Republican household, you might think of Republican aspects, but that's not being your authentic self, that's being your adaptive self. And once again, we'll go through, how to correct. And now with this correction, what I would have done, I've never really had this kind of issue. My parents, thank the Lord above, that's colloquial. Thank God that they really encouraged myself and my older brother to think for ourselves. And I know how they vote, and I know how they think, and I know how they would react to situations, and I can look at that objectively. I don't agree with everything my parents do. I don't agree with everything that my parents, think, and they think the same thing about me. They don't have to, and I don't have to do that same. It doesn't mean I'm disrespecting them, so get that out of your mind. It just means that you're being authentic, and talk to them. Let them know, saying, hey, as I've grown up, I've learned more democratic philosophies, and I agree with that more. Now, looking at it objectively, you'll see how your family reacts to maybe that kind of news, and maybe don't do it immediately. Maybe not be so upfront about it. But you do have to talk to them. You have to talk to your family. You have to understand what happened, and because understanding is correcting. Open a dialogue between the adaptive self and the authentic self. Invite the two aspects of yourself to have a discussion as a part of a meditation or thought exercise. Respectfully introduce both. Thank the adaptive self for helping you function through some difficult and confusing times, and thank your authentic self for helping you feel whole, real, and self-confident. Now, invite each part of yourself to share. Ask a question mentally, while urging each side to express itself fully, and then listen, patiently to the responses. Encourage dialogue so it may comprehend both points of view. When I did something like this, I did it outwardly. I talked to myself literally, and I actually did write it down. Once again, writing is a great thing because it's been proven in many, many things that physically taking your hand and writing it, or communicating it so you can look at it later, will help you not only retain the information, but help you understand that perspective a lot better. Try to open both sides. Try to open to what both sides have to say, as you may be revealing things you're not expecting. For example, the authentic self may be afraid of rejection and therefore afraid to come forward. Or your adaptive self may be caretaking, trying to protect you from hurt feelings in the ways you've been hurt in the past. These parts of ourselves are running our lives in the way for a reason. In this exercise, try to figure out what those reasons are. This may help you understand why you act the way you do, so you can decide if you truly want to act differently. Now, just remember, because you think about these things and you get two different answers, don't just immediately revert to the authentic self. There's a balance. Even though this is being your authentic self, you need a balance. Identify disparities to develop your authenticity. Try to become aware of discrepancies between your actions and your beliefs. If you catch yourself making a racist, sexist, or otherwise hurtful remark, ask yourself whether you really believe the words you speak. And you saying those things because someone else taught you to? Remember, the adaptive self wants to fit in, so you often act in ways that are inconsistent with our authentic selves. This is normal. If we want to be more authentic, we have to address that discrepancies between our beliefs and our actions. If you acknowledge what is true to you now, then you can better live your life according to the needs of your authentic self. Be kind to authenticity requires self-awareness and self-honesty. I think the whole racist, sexist, and otherwise hurtful remarks is a very interesting component into it. And, I'm not a racist person whatsoever. But in the past I did make some risque jokes with some friends and some things on one of my old social media platforms that I don't agree with now. During development, you will change. Maybe your thing is, maybe you are going to be a Republican at the end of the day when you're 27, 28, but it's the journey from a Democrat. You never know, but you need to be aware of these things. Examine your doubts to develop authenticity. While exploring your authentic self, you may feel unsure of how to go about it. You may question whether it's possible to change what feels so deeply ingrained within you or is invisible to you. So keep an eye out for feelings of doubt. Doubt are like breadcrumbs that lead you to your authentic self. If you doubt something, a thought, a belief, an emotion, an experience, reflect on those moments to find whatever is underneath. Is your authentic self trying to tell you to stop it? Write it down. Write down the discrepancy. Write down that feeling. Write down that thought or the behavior. And reflect on it later and say, hey, I'll keep an eye on this, but maybe that wasn't the right action for me. Doesn't mean it's wrong. It just might be wrong for you, Develop the courage to face your fears. Now, this one is incredibly challenging. Humans tend to be the most comfortable with what is familiar. The unfamiliar is often challenging, at least at first. Examining your inner core beliefs can be like exploring a foreign landscape you're unfamiliar with. So when you touch upon a disconnect between your adaptive and your authentic selves, your heart may race and your hands might get clammy. You might be scared and confused. You may naturally feel afraid to look too deeply into yourself for fear of what you might find. Our authentic self has a lot of fear, sadness, and anger. Our true self were hurt, and that's why the adaptive self took over. However, the different secrets we hide from ourselves are what makes us who we really are. So as much as possible, and as slowly as you need to, courageously explore the truth of what makes you who you are. Identify, experiencing, accepting, and letting go of these buried emotions is exactly what fuels your authentic self. Explore your values. Integrity, ethics, and living our lives is an effective way to live more authentically. The trouble comes when we are so far from our authentic self that we don't even know what our values are. So explore your values and figure out ways to start living them, which would be a great video for later, because that's a wonderful, wonderful concept. Love yourself and have compassion for others to develop authenticity. Because it takes self-love for our authentic selves to emerge, embedding more love and compassion within yourself and your life is helpful. One way to increase your self-love is to set aside some time to take numerous deep breaths each day. You can add this to an existing meditation practice if you like, which is what I do. I always meditate every single morning. I reflect on the day previous, what I'm going to do differently. Thank God that I can wake up with 2 legs, 2 feet, able to put a roof over my head, food in my fridge, and be grateful. Love yourself. Slowly deepen your breathing, and when you are feeling fully relaxed and receptive, call love to yourself from your environment. Imagine each breath infused with loving energy. Whatever there are balls of energy or bursts, rays of light and love, invite love to enter your body via your breath. Draw love into your lungs and, dispense it throughout your body. Or send it directly to your authentic self. Keep breathing consciously until you feel the lightening and lifting energies of those love breaths, which we will cover later. Once filled with love, share it with friends and loved ones. Sending love to others tend to expand the love within, and also people will actually like you a little bit more. Realizing that developing authenticity takes time. Examining our true self is a process, perhaps a lifelong process, because we are ever-evolving human beings. It takes quite a while to winnow our beliefs and behaviors that no longer serve you and replace them with more authentic actions. But with some effect, you will soon find more genuine alignment with your true self. And we're going to end it with this one. Ask yourself what you truly believe. Another proactive approach is to simply start with a pad and paper. Once again, please write this down. And begin listing your beliefs about yourself. Beliefs like, why am I not good enough? Or nobody loves me? Or I'm stupid, fat, ugly, etc. Then examine each one. Expand upon it. Think about how you acquired that belief, who gave it to you, and how you continue to hold on to it, whether it represents the authentic you, if you want to be that. Now create positive alternatives to those negative beliefs, such as I am good enough, or I am drawing myself a partner who loves and respects me, or I am perfect just the way I am. And repeat those beliefs as positive affirmations so they can stick. Ladies and gentlemen, be your authentic self, love yourself, and I want to thank you for listening. If you did enjoy it, if you got some value, leave a like, subscribe to this channel, comment down below, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day.